Hi, this is Bryan D with sprint number 1 for Game Engines 2. So I'm just going to quickly go through what I went through on my engine this week. So this is my new Trello. It's the same Trello as I used last quarter, but this time updated for this quarter. For this week on Game Engine improvements, I went through the list for my final sprint and what was wrong with it, the things that you pointed out as being incorrect. I went through and made tickets for each on the Trello and started going through. So green means first priority, yellow means second priority, and blue means constant. So blue is just a reminder for me for the big four method and the do not call destructor manually to help with memory leaks. So yeah, if I went through all of this, this would take up 20 minutes. But basically, you can basically just look in the draw update and asset manager. Well, the asset manager is different, but the draw and update are basically the exact same fixes, and then scene management was just a couple camera things. Okay, so moving on to my system. I'm trying to talk fast because last time I recorded this video was 18 minutes. So what I would like to do for my system for this quarter would be to create an engine-generated navigation mesh like the ones they have in Unity and the ones that they did in Unreal. So I detail in this document basically the systems I would need as well as the supporting functions I would need and how I would create the systems that I would need for the mesh. I've created navigation grids before, but I've never done anything where it's mapped up like going up levels and down levels. But I have used Unity's and Unreal's, and I think it's a really useful tool for users to quickly create a way of pathfinding for their AI systems. I feel like it could be really, really useful for, say, a tank game if like we were in a city level and we needed to go over a bridge or something like that to and have kind of like an open world-ish aspect to it. Anyway, so the project upgrades that I would like to make to the actual game would obviously be making an enemy spawn system for a random spawner or maybe a on-trigger enter kind of spawner where like they enter a box, where the player enters a box and kind of Call of Duty style enemies start spawning in an area, a certain area of the level. This would obviously be as if it was a closed level. I haven't decided on if I want to do a closed level or more of, say, like kind of like a couple city block designs with buildings in the middle. To kind of create, some kind of play environment other than just blank ground. And then the second thing would be to create a real HUD with lives counter and a score counter, perhaps with a flyweight counter or pattern. And then third thing, a mini map. I go in and I detail how I would like to create this. Basically, it involves taking the coordinates of each enemy within a certain distance from the player, and sticking a sprite on top of another sprite to create this kind of mini map feel. A start screen. I would like this to be similar to the Centipede start screen, where the AI is fighting a player AI with high scores over the top. And then create a system to rotate a certain object to make it look at a point in space, similar to Unity's vector3.lookAt. I think that's a really useful system that would make it easier for users to quickly rotate their objects to look at a certain point in space. Move towards command. This is another Unity command that I think is really useful. It simplifies things for users. And I would also be able to use it in my navigation, in my nav mesh pathfinding algorithms that I didn't quite go over. But this system in the nav mesh would also require a pathfinding system to navigate to a new point. and I'll put this document into my Sprint folder, but it goes over the different things that I would have to do and how I might go about doing them to create that navigation mesh. A raycast system. I'm not sure if we're doing a raycast and linecast system. I'm not sure if we're doing this in our full class upgrades. I'm sure we probably are, but I decided to put it in this document just in case, because this would greatly help with the navigation mesh and also help with AI being able to determine whether or not they can see the player. And then last but not least, a simple pathfinding system to start out with. This would be implemented early on to allow the AI to avoid simple obstacles. It would be flat on a flat surface instead of like the navigation mesh where it kind of decides whether or not the AI can actually like move up certain things. And then by the end of the quarter, this system would get replaced with the navigation map or the navigation mesh. But I feel like this would be a thing that would be nice to implement. And it wouldn't be that difficult. I've done nav grids before on flat surfaces, but the big difference is the nav mesh would be a pre-baked in thing in Engine. Yeah, so those are the improvements I would like to make on the game. This is the system that I would like to create. Unity and Unreal have very detailed documentation on how they do it, and I have started going in to read them. And I also feel like my experience in creating the navigation grids and pathfinding algorithms throughout like the AI classes that DePaul has offered would be very helpful in creating this thing. So I feel like it's very plausible to do this. I feel like it could be a very useful system to have. Yeah, so that's it for sprint number 1 in Game Engine 2. I'm excited to get started.